Hello once again. Welcome to this edition of All Things Marketing with Gillian Rusike. This is a program that seeks to critique, analyze, and celebrate marketing practices and excellency in the sector. We also profile trendsetters, new entrants, as well as exits in the sector. We are coming to you live from ZTN Studios in Harare, Zimbabwe, and I'm joined in the studio by one top PR and marketing guru in the country, Mrs. Marjorie Munyonga. Yes, Mrs. Marjorie Munyonga. She is the Corporate Communications and Marketing Manager with ZINWA, our water body. We hope you will enjoy this informative and packed show where Marjorie will share her journey in the PR sector as we get to learn more about public relations, a topic that is usually interchanged by many corporates and many organizations who are not well informed. Do not go anywhere. All Things Marketing will be right back. Welcome back to this edition. Once again, like I indicated before the breather, that I am joined in the studio by one top PR guru. She's also a marketer who specializes in public relations, Mrs. Marjorie Munyonga. You need to correct me. Welcome to the studio, Marjorie. I hope we will enjoy this conversation.
Thank you, Gillian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Marjorie. Maybe to break it down for a lot of people, when we say public relations, what do we mean?
Well, public relations, or PR as it is known,
yes,
has so many definitions, academic definitions.
Yes.
But for me, I would say public relations is about an organization being deliberate and being intentional about creating mutually beneficial relationships with its various stakeholders,
yes,
with its various constituencies. Some call them publics.
Okay.
So it's about an organization really being able to clearly define its stakeholders, to say who really are our stakeholders, what are their interests, what are their expectations, and how can we as an organization meet those expectations and balance them with the interests of the organization. So it's about communication, it's about relationships, it's about building trust, it's about stakeholder management.
Wow. Very huge arms of public relations that one needs to satisfy if you assume the position of a public relations manager. Most importantly, it is the stakeholder that you are engaging to make sure that whatever you are dealing or communicating with them, you're doing it quite effectively and yield the results of maintaining a relationship with these stakeholders. Just explain a bit further, Marjorie. Is there a difference? Because in some organizations, they've got corporate affairs manager. In some organizations, they call them corporate communications person, and in others, it's public relations. Is there a clear distinction between these roles or these titles within organization? And what is the most preferred one from your point of view?
Okay, thank you, Gillian. Well, for me, personally, it all boils down to the same thing. Though we have academic definitions or academic distinctions between public relations, corporate communications, and or corporate affairs or public affairs. To me, it boils down to the same thing. Though there are a few distinctions. Yes. When we talk of public relations, we're talking of stakeholder management, we're talking of media communication, we're talking of creating relationships.
Yes.
When we talk of corporate communications, we're talking of public relations also as part of corporate communications. We're talking of publicity, we're talking of marketing communications, we're talking of issues management, we're talking of investor relationships. All that is part of corporate communications. Then the corporate affairs one goes a bit deeper. It looks at the organization as a whole. It looks at issues to do with sustainability, issues to do with the social behavior of an organization. It looks at issues to do with governance issues. So if you're a practitioner or worth your salt, really, it's all one and the same thing. You should be able to do everything across the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do you have scenarios where a public relations officer reports to a corporate affairs manager? Do we have such a scenario?
Well, organizations, Gillian, are wired differently. And sometimes you find these funny reporting structures for the PR function. Sometimes it actually reports to a lawyer. In some organizations, it will go straight to the corporate services director, who is a lawyer. Sometimes it goes to marketing. Sometimes it goes to commercial. It's all wired differently. But my opinion, the PR function is a strategic function. And for me, it should really report directly to the CEO or the visionary of the organization.
Yes, there you have it, viewers, because we are talking public relations. This is more of the mouthpiece of the organization. Henceforth, you are the one who makes the organization look smart to all its stakeholders. And the critical component that we are learning from Marjorie is that PR needs to report directly to the CEO, because he is the face, the front of the organization. How would you describe, I know you've touched a bit on it, how would you describe the role of PR in an organization? What are the day-to-day duties that a PR person, when they walk into their office, they boil themselves down into?
Okay. Maybe I'll start from the strategic role that PR plays. PR is a strategic role, as I've already alluded to, because it looks at the behavior, it directs the behavior of an organization. We have contemporary issues that are coming up now, especially after COVID-19, where our customers, our stakeholders, all have become very dynamic. They are now calling the shots. They are now very powerful. They now demand affordability, they demand empathy, they demand leadership, they demand corporate legitimacy, they demand transparency and disclosure.
Yes.
So PR, that all is confined in the domain of the PR practitioner.
Okay.
So these contemporary issues, as I've said, corporate legitimacy, corporate acceptance, social acceptance, corporate governance, all these lie within the domain of the PR person. So the PR person has that role to play, because they give the direction of how the organization should actually go and should actually be responsible and be accountable to the society at large.
Accountability to society at large. And when you look at it from a marketing point of view, we also say marketing is the face, is the spokesperson, the mouthpiece of the organization, as they are the ones that beautify what the company offers. In your understanding, what do you think is the distinction between marketing and PR? Because there are always fights between these two functions. If they are not clearly defined, you find one stepping on top of the other's feet.
Okay. Yeah, I have experienced that in the industry where, there's this fighting for turf between the marketing person and the PR person. Well, marketing really focuses more on the business side of things. We are also looking at profitability. We are looking at customer experience, those kinds of things. But PR supports marketing in their endeavors. But PR goes a bit further in that it takes care of the environmental issues, the political issues of the organization, and even the political issues of the nation. It resides within the PR department. How we relate to the political issues, how we relate to the environmental issues, how we relate to the social issues of the organization. So sometimes as a PR person, our results don't come as immediate as marketing might want their results to come out as immediate. We might not be able to really show the return on investment in the short term. But the more we create those relationships, the more we create trust, the more we manage our reputation, we are in the long term creating profitability for the organization. So sometimes we don't quite understand each other between the marketing person and the PR person, but we work together. We are hand in glove because we support each other.
Yes, ultimately, majorly, we get a scenario where in some organizations, they do not have a marketing department at all, but there's PR. And then in some instances, you also have a marketing department without PR, and marketing is the one that handles the whole PR function together with marketing. Is it because of lack of understanding from the structural point of view or the strategic point of view? And what would be your advice to such organizations?
Thank you, Gillian, for that question. Yes, sometimes in certain organizations, you find they just have a PR department. Maybe that will depend on the kind of product that they are selling or the kind of mandate that they are pushing. Some organizations are knowledge-based organizations, so they just push information. So it's better to have a PR person who will just be pushing information, knowledge, and creating awareness. Then in some organizations, they've got products, real tangible products and services that they have to push and sell for profit. Then they have a marketing department. So it depends really on how the organization is wired, whether their focus really is on just selling and profits. But to have the two is really advisable, to have the two departments working together. To have a totally marketing person dealing with PR issues might also be a problem, because marketers have to do with profit. They want to see the money coming in, the performance of the organization. Yeah. As I've also said before, PR, sometimes not only profits matter, because nowadays we are not just looking at financial goals. I've said we are looking at ESG issues, the environmental issues, the social issues, and the governance issues. These help to build trust and help to build organization reputation, and also help to give an organization social acceptance and the social license to operate.
Yes. Yeah. So there you have it, viewers. Majorly saying, look, for organizations that are purely there to disseminate information, which I find very disturbing in this era that we are operating in. There's no organization that should just be, that is meant to cast out information. Look, why would you just send out information? But it's about creating relationships with your customers. But you need to fuse the two functions. PR and marketing, they both need to exist because they take care of different stakeholders. Marketing, like Major is saying, is mostly focusing on the customers because that's where the profit comes. But PR now, it takes care of other stakeholders and other very important matters within the marketing matrix, which also involve the ESG issues that a marketer might not be able to articulate correctly. Let's talk of reputation management majorly. We know it is very, very critical. This is organizational reputation management. It's very, very critical for several reasons. These days, there is social media, which is come with full force. You said in your opening remarks that, you know, the customer is transformed. It is now the customer who has more voice through these social media platforms. And there you have a PR person who is just there to send out information and not giving an eye or ear to what is happening or to the social media. What would you advise and encourage organizations, especially when it comes to the issues of social media?
Okay, thank you. Well, it reminds me of an organization that actually had a policy to say we will not have a Facebook page, we will not be on Twitter, we will not be, and I said to the head of that organization, this is dangerous, catastrophic. Because you have to be where the conversations are taking place. Somewhere, somehow, your brand is being talked about. So you have to be part of the conversation. You have to be there. You have to understand, and you have to be able to manage and proactively manage your information and communication about the organization. So I know some established organizations really want to shy away from social media, but look, we can't. It's not going anywhere. Actually, it's actually even advancing. So what I would say is organizations need to have social listening skills. They have to have a social listening desk, somebody really dedicated daily to be listening to the social media voices that are coming up. You have to have somebody dedicated to look at Facebook, to look at Twitter, to look at TikTok, to look at whatever, because there's a lot happening there, and there's that's where the people are anyway. That's where the people are. So organizations cannot afford to ignore this very powerful tool. So they need to have social listening skills, a social listener there, listening and tracking what is happening and proactively managing. That can actually be done also using certain software and applications like Google Alerts. You can use that. It will always alert you where you are being talked about, and you become part of the conversation. You can use Brand Watch, you can use Meltwater, all those kinds of tools, digital tools are there, so that you are able to monitor where you are being talked about and be able to talk about and address issues. So I would encourage organizations to take this seriously and just to let them know that this is not going away anytime soon.
I think what Major is saying is that we are now in an era where you don't need to ignore what is happening on the social media. It is here and it is here to stay. And if you are a business person who is quite serious about being able to take care of all the stakeholders in your business, you need to develop social listening skills. Major is saying you actually need, in fact, to employ a dedicated team of people to work on your Twitter every single hour, every other minute. You know, I once had a conversation with one executive who said, so you want me to employ somebody to be always on Facebook?
Oh, they think people will be just playing
playing on Facebook and everything else.
It's actually a very powerful business too.
So one of the executives, top PR and marketing executives in the country, is encouraging that if your organization does not have social media platforms, you actually need to have them, because you need to be where the conversations are. And that's where we come in as Marketers Association of Zimbabwe. We've got tailor-made training programs that can suit your organization. Come to us at executive level, at operational level. We can even advise your organization on the way forward in terms of being digitally present. You need to develop a social listening skill as an organization. Let's talk about your advice, Major, to somebody. Okay, maybe before we got there, what does it take for one to be a PR person?
Okay. What it takes for one to be a PR person really is you have to love people. You have to love establishing relationships. You have to be able to relate with your stakeholders from the very bottom to the very top. You have to be a very good communicator, be able to talk, be able to speak. You should be able to write and be able to express yourself and express and tell the story or the brand story of your organization.
Storytelling, you need to be an effective communicator. I love the part where you need to love people, because PR, you are dealing with people in all structures, right from the top to the least. You are the spokesperson of the organization, and these are some of the elements that you need to look at yourself in the mirror to say, look, am I a qualified public relations practitioner or not? And if one wants to study, are there studies that one can embark on in order to be a public relations person? What does it take really in terms of the qualification side? Because somebody is watching us and saying, when I grow up, I want to be majoring. What do you encourage them to focus on?
Okay, yeah, there are studies that you need to undertake for you to be able to be a great PR practitioner. You can go do marketing, you can go do communication, you can do strategic communications, you can do media, management, journalism, but you then need also to beef up that qualification not just to be a journalist and then you think you can be a PR practitioner. No, you have to beef up because there are technical aspects of PR that are only learned from the PR profession itself, so that you then need to have those professional courses. I studied marketing, I studied journalism, and then management.
Yes.
Yes, the management of people and the management of organizations.
Yes, Majori is saying that for you to be an effective public relations person, for whatever organization, you need to fuse either you have studied journalism, but most importantly, you need marketing or PR programs that are being churned out so that you are fully equipped to be able to respond and be effective in that position. It is a strategic position, and there are expectations that you also develop strategic plans for the organization. And if you've studied, for example, just journalism alone, you're actually putting yourself on the spotlight because you won't be able to articulate all the aspects. What would be your last words, Majori, to the viewers when it comes to public relations?
Okay, public relations deals with image, but it also has an image problem of itself, especially in most organizations. You find it's tugged in some corner, it's not given the strategic role that it's supposed to be. You're only thought about probably
when there's a crisis.
When there's a crisis, can you call the media to do this, or or just ask to do, putting lipstick on a pig. But that's no longer the case.
Yes.
The profession has evolved a lot, and it has taken a strategic focus and a paradigm shift. As we said, it's now looking at sustainability issues, it's looking at social issues, it is looking at environmental issues, at organizational and institutional legitimacy and the social license to operate. So people need to evolve with the profession. Practitioners actually need to evolve with the profession and not be left behind. It's no longer just about communication. You do a press statement and then you're done. No, it is more. You advise top management. You counsel top management on issues, on strategy. You actually look at the strategy to see, does it involve people? Does it involve the society?
Yes.
All those things. So you give guidance in terms of corporate strategy and corporate decisions.
Yes, there you have it, viewers. Interesting conversation indeed with one of the PR gurus in the studio tonight. And we have been talking about public relations, its place in an organization, what it takes for one to be an effective public relations practitioner. That's it for today on All Things Marketing with Gillian Rusike. I am Gillian Rusike, your host. Remember to join us again next week at 2100 hours on ZTNPRIME channel 294 as we critique, celebrate marketing practices as well as profile trendsetters and new entrants in the sector. We can continue with the conversation on our social media platforms. Would love to hear your feedback. From me, Gillian Rusike, and the crew behind the scenes, have a good night.